Former President Donald Trump has criticized Manhattan's new district attorney, Alvin Bragg, after pleading not guilty to charges related to the January 6 Capitol riot. In a statement, Trump accused Bragg of being out of touch with reality and endangering American safety by not cracking down on violent crime in New York City. The charges against Trump stem from his role in inciting a mob of his supporters to storm the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, in an attempt to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. The riot resulted in the deaths of several people and injuries to dozens of police officers. During the riot, Trump made a speech in which he told his supporters to fight like hell to overturn the election results. He also repeated false claims that the election was stolen from him and that Vice President Mike Pence had the power to overturn the results. In February of 2021, the U.S. Senate acquitted Trump of inciting the riot. However, prosecutors in New York have continued to investigate Trump's role in the events of January 6. Subscribe for more content like this. Bragg, who took office in January 2022, has faced criticism from some for his progressive policies, including his decision to no longer prosecute certain low-level crimes. However, Bragg has also emphasized his commitment to cracking down on violent crime, which has been on the rise in New York City in recent years. Trump's criticism of Bragg comes amid a broader debate about criminal justice reform and the role of prosecutors in addressing violent crime. Some argue that prosecutors should focus on rehabilitation and reducing mass incarceration, while others argue that they should be tougher on crime to ensure public safety. In a statement, Trump said that he never thought anything like this could happen in America, and accused Bragg of putting politics before public safety. He also criticized the charges against him as politically motivated and claimed that he was the victim of a witch hunt. Critics of Trump's comments have pointed out that he has a history of attacking law enforcement officials who investigate him or his allies. They argue that his criticism of Bragg is part of a larger pattern of attacking the rule of law and attempting to undermine the legitimacy of the justice system. Meanwhile, some have raised concerns about the indictment against Trump, which includes charges of incitement of insurrection, conspiracy to commit an offense against the United States, and obstruction of an official proceeding. Critics argue that the charges are overly broad and may not hold up in court. However, others argue that the charges are appropriate given Trump's role in inciting the Capitol riot. They point to evidence that Trump and his allies planned the attack in advance and that he continued to encourage his supporters even after the violence had begun. The debate over Trump's indictment and Bragg's policies is likely to continue in the coming months. As the trial unfolds, the country will be watching to see how the justice system responds to one of the most contentious and divisive moments in recent American history. The decision by Manhattan's new district attorney, Alvin Bragg, to drop charges against former President Donald Trump's business partner, Weisselberg, has drawn a strong rebuke from Trump himself. In a statement released shortly after the announcement, Trump slammed Bragg, accusing him of making a political decision, and claiming that he never thought anything like this could happen in America. The indictment against Weisselberg and the Trump Organization alleged that they engaged in a 15-year scheme to avoid paying taxes on compensation for Weisselberg and other executives. Weisselberg pleaded not guilty to the charges, and the case was set to go to trial. However, Bragg's decision to drop the charges has thrown the case into uncertainty. Many legal experts have criticized Bragg's decision, arguing that it sets a dangerous precedent and undermines the rule of law. Judge Jeanine Pirro, a former prosecutor and current Fox News host, blasted Bragg in a recent segment, calling him a pathetic man who is not connected to reality. Pirro went on to argue that Bragg's decision to drop the charges against Weisselberg was based on political considerations rather than the merits of the case. She suggested that Bragg was motivated by a desire to curry favor with the far-left wing of the Democratic Party, which has called for the prosecution of Trump and his associates for years. But Bragg defended his decision in a recent op-ed for the New York Times. He argued that his office's decision to drop the charges against Weisselberg was based on a careful consideration of the facts and the law. He pointed out that the case against Weisselberg relied heavily on his testimony, and that his cooperation was essential to proving the charges. Bragg also emphasized that his office is committed to prosecuting serious crimes, and that dropping the charges against Weisselberg does not mean that the Trump Organization is off the hook. He noted that his office is continuing to investigate the organization's finances and is prepared to file additional charges if warranted. The controversy over Bragg's decision to drop the charges against Weisselberg is just the latest chapter in the long-running saga of Trump's legal troubles. Since leaving office, Trump has been the subject of numerous investigations and lawsuits, including a criminal investigation by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office into his business dealings. Many legal experts believe that the charges against Weisselberg and the Trump Organization were just the first step in a broader effort to hold Trump accountable for his alleged criminal conduct. But with Bragg's decision to drop the charges, that effort may have hit a major roadblock. The decision also raises broader questions about the role of prosecutors and the limits of their power. Prosecutors wield enormous power in our justice system, and their decisions can have far-reaching consequences for individuals and society as a whole. But as Judge Pirro's comments suggest, there are concerns that prosecutors may be motivated by political considerations rather than a commitment to justice. The Weisselberg case is just one example of this problem. Critics of the case argue that it was politically motivated from the beginning, and that the charges against Weisselberg were an attempt to pressure him into cooperating with the larger investigation into Trump's business dealings. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel for authenticity.